Top 10 moments in manga before a disaster happens. This chapter really puts in perspective on how long it's been, or how long the journey has been since we met up with Kinemon and Momo, and just got to see the mini arcs afterwards. It's been a long journey. Going back down memory lane within this chapter really got me kind of emotional, because when it started off with, let's say Raizo getting separated, and you see how he's like, hey, meet me in Zoe. And then you have another panel to where we see Doflamingo and Dressrosa, and how they're separated from Kanjuro. You're like, oh my god, like, this feels like such a long time ago. It's years ago. And then you get back to Punk Hazard with, Caesar, and how Law was technically their enemy at the time, but now he's their friend. It really makes you think about how much time has really passed within the manga, but also in real life. I mean, that was years ago. That was a long time ago, when Dressrosa was a thing, when Punk Hazard was a thing. It's been a very long time. It's been since 2013, maybe 2014, maybe even earlier than that, since all of this really began, since this real major story with Kinemon, began. That's crazy. That's a lot of time. That really is. That's literally pretty much as long as me being on YouTube, making content. That puts everything into perspective for a second, just how grand One Piece's journey really is. And with this chapter, everything that's been being set up for hundreds upon hundreds of chapters, and for many, many years now, is finally about to happen. We see Luffy, the Heart Pirates with Law, the Samurai. We see, Kinemon. We see the Mink Tribe, Inu and Neko. They are all standing up to face Kaido. It's something that we have heard about pretty much since the beginning of the New World Saga. Ever since we got to Punk Hazard, we knew that Kaido was a target. And it's about to happen. It's legit about to happen. It feels so long ago. And it really has, since that promise with Luffy and Law were made, and then Kinemon joined them. It's crazy. But, okay, besides getting all nostalgic and all that, and, just feeling it, feeling all these feels of all these years and all that of the journey, this chapter was downright incredible. Now, I know many probably won't think this chapter is as good as I do, but the reason why I really love this chapter is because of one critical point, and that is how Oda handled the time no Mi. The reason why I'm proud is because it was so easy for One Piece to have plot holes after the introduction of a time-traveling Devil Fruit. Because, if someone could go back in the past and mess with past events, then that opens up a whole new door to where Roger could be saved, Ace could be saved, Whitebeard could be saved, and, etc., etc. Just so many things that could technically be changed. You'll be like, why haven't you done this? Or, maybe this is going to happen. It'd be... I wouldn't want that. I don't think many fans of One Piece would really want that. Even though it'd be great to have, let's say, someone like Ace back in the series, get to see him, up to date, see how he is with the story right now, or getting to see Whitebeard back, or maybe even Roger. Let's be real here. Even though that would seem cool at the time, just seeing them, it wouldn't really be good for the story in the grand scheme of things. In hindsight, it's better that they all are gone than actually in the story, because it makes what they, sacrificed, what they stood for, really mean something, because they're no longer here, and everybody else has to carry their legacy on their back. It's kind of like the whole theme of Will of D and all that, carrying on, the legacy, or the will of someone else that's, long gone. And that's kind of what, Luffy's been doing this entire time. But getting off of that, though, I'm glad how he handled the, little bit of, development to the time Devil Fruit. For instance, letting us know that the person that has the Devil Fruit can only go into the future, can only go forward into time. They can never go back. So there's no possibility for them to say, hey, I want to go back a year, I want to go back a minute, I want to go back, 1,000 years. They cannot do that, which that, completely gets rid of the potential possibility of plot holes. Oda was a very smart man in that moment. It opens the door up for a lot of possibilities for what this person might know, for instance, anyone that has this Devil Fruit, but overall, it doesn't open the door up for plot holes that could ruin the story that's already been said and done for a very long time. So just job well done, Oda, on that. Now, here's the thing I do want to talk about. When it comes to this devil fruit power, it makes me wonder, what is its awakening like? We know that devil fruits have an awakening mode, like that they can awaken and they can manipulate their surroundings. And we've seen this with, Paramecia and all that. We've seen it through Doffy. We've seen it through, Katakuri. I was about to say Luffy, my bad, but we've seen it through Katakuri. We've seen it through Doffy. We know that awakening is a thing. And we know that it also happens to zone types. It's a little bit different, but we do know it happens to zone types. And if I had to assume anything, this Toki Toki no Mi, or Time no Mi, is actually a Paramecia, because of the way it works. That's what I'm assuming it is. So, I wonder what its awakening form would actually do. What exactly could it potentially do? That's my biggest question about all of this, because from what has been established, awakening is a big thing, and Oda has really yet to really dive too deep into that aspect too much. He's kind of, showed characters with it, for instance, Katakuri and then Doffy, but, he hasn't really got into the actual details of it. So I'm kind of curious. I'm kind of curious on what Toki Toki no Mi would actually be about if it did have its awakening. But, dropping that thought for now, though, it's established that the, Toki, the mother of Momo and Hiyori, the sister of Momo, which was a big shock, by the way, I'll get into her in a second. Apparently, she was from the distant past, and she traveled from a very long time ago to where she's at now. And to kind of really look at this in a very interesting way, she was traveling so much throughout history that when she finally landed up in the same timeline as Odin, she decided not to travel in the future anymore and decided to just, settle down, make a family, and be with Odin, which speaks a lot. For someone that could actually go into the future endlessly, stopping from traveling continuously, definitely speaks a lot. It shows that the mother did love Odin quite a bit and really wanted a family. Yeah, it's very romantic in a way. I don't know if many would really care about that, but someone, being able to constantly go through time, just not going through time anymore, and just wanting to have a family, that's pretty sweet in my opinion. Now, here's the thing I do want to point out. Since she is apparently from the distant past, it's very obvious. I think everybody's going to be able to put two and two together and understand what distant past she is from. She's obviously from the Void Century. I think everybody's going to understand that one. That is definitely a no-brainer. The Void Century is an area in time that obviously we know nothing about. Something drastic happened. We've had little details here and there scattered throughout that time period, but overall we don't really know a whole lot about what exactly happened. And I feel like the mother, Toki, probably was from the Void Century. She probably was sent from, the actual civilization that truly was in power at the time before it was overthrown, and she's constantly been traveling throughout, the future, trying to find a point to where she could potentially turn things around and save the day, and maybe that's why she actually stopped as well. She stopped in time to be with Odin, and also because she knew that this was the proper timeline to be able to finally change things to allow, the world government to actually be exposed, to Gorosei and all that. But the point is, it makes a lot of sense why she was in Wano, because if we look at what Wano is as a country, it's very isolated. Not a lot of information comes out of it. The world government really doesn't know a whole lot about what happens within Wano. That's been very clear since the very start. And so what better way to remain hidden from the Void Century, especially if you're getting hunted, well, let's say the Elder Stars, or, just the world government in general, than to hide in an isolated country that no information is about to get out. That's what I'm getting at. So, basically, I feel like the mother, she stayed in Wano and was traveling through Wano because she was trying to remain hidden. Which also complicates Odin's ideals, too. Odin wanted to open up the border of, Wano and allow everybody to know more about Wano. Which, in turn, if the mother or his wife was actually trying to remain hidden, it definitely would complicate a lot of issues. It definitely would mean that she had to make a very strong choice to basically say, I'm fine with revealing myself to the public. Because if Odin became this very public figure and he opened the border of Wano, obviously the world government's going to be able to come in and investigate, and they'll probably eventually find out about Toki and maybe her ability or something. So a lot of questions that are attached to that make you wonder what was going on between Odin and his wife when this went down. Now, another thing to really look at, too, is the fact that with her power to go into the future and all that, she's seen a lot. She probably could potentially still be alive, even though it's said multiple times that her final words are basically a prophecy saying that Odin, his rule or what he wanted would return. For instance, Momo would come back, Kinemon would come back, and all of that. Even though it's stated multiple times it's her last words, we don't really know exactly what happened to her. For all we know, she could be alive. In prison somewhere, but could be alive. And on top of that, we don't really know what happened to the little sister, or the sister of Momo, which is a big curveball, by the way. And I know many are going to be looking at Tama as that potential little sister. I know that's what I was thinking when I first saw that in this chapter. I'm like, wait a minute. Does that mean that Tama is the sister of Momo? Because that would make a lot of sense why this little girl was introduced and all that, and like what her big role would be in the future. Besides just, probably taking over, these Smile Devil Fruit users, she would also be able to be somewhat of like a princess or something, which would be cool, and it would make a lot of sense to why, a lot of people protect her, why the Tengu Man, why he protects her. It would fill all these gaps. But there's one thing that's holding that back, and that is the fact that we know she met Ace years ago. So, obviously, if she was just recently teleported there, she shouldn't have that memory with Ace. So that's just a big curveball. And if she really did know, obviously she would know more about what's going on around her, but we do know that the people of Wano do have a habit of keeping secrets. So, for all we know, Tama could be keeping a secret from what her real origin story is. But anyways, regardless, I know it's pretty easy to probably say that, Tama is Momo's sister. But even then, I don't really know. I feel like, judging by the way the story was done, like what was stated, the sister of Momo was not teleported. At the very least, teleported with Momo at all. And that would mean that she stayed behind with the mother. And if the mother's last words were basically this prophecy, I highly doubt a mother would want to see her daughter die with her. So I don't think that's probably what happened. So either the mother died protecting her daughter, or the daughter and the mother are still alive. And I'm very curious about that situation. And if they are still alive, that would mean that the daughter might be a lot older than she actually was in the past. That means maybe the 20 years that passed, she actually is like a grown woman now compared to what Momo is, which would be very interesting. I would really like something like that, and it would explain why Oda was wanting to, shadow out their face for we actually didn't get to see them, which I do believe for him shadowing out the face of, Toki, the mother, and then also not really getting to see the sister at all, I feel like that's going to be a big plot reveal. Like, we're going to get to see maybe the facial structure and be like, whoa, that looks like so-and-so, and then that'll be like a big revelation or something. I feel like that is going to happen. Anyways, next thing to kind of get into, let's also talk about, the stuff with the flashback. It's very apparent by when Kinemon was telling everything that happened with Odin and, like, how great of a man he was, how he turned a lawless area into a paradise. It was beautiful. And throughout this story he was telling, there was obviously a segment that was cut out. Some nitty-gritty details of what Orochi did to Odin. Because you see one moment, all the characters, the Straw Hats and all that, they're smiling and happy. And then the next moment, they're very angry with Orochi and what happened to Odin. So, it's clear as day that Oda purposely skipped out on dialogue for we couldn't understand what was really going on. Which that means that he will reveal it in due time when it is actually necessary. But at the very least, the characters are aware of it. The characters know what happened. Even Luffy himself, he actually knows more than we do, which is a big shock, because normally when we have a big, long flashback segment, we're getting details and stuff, Luffy's off either somewhere else doing his own thing, or he's sleeping. And I'm just very surprised he actually was there to hear everything, and we as the audience, we have no idea. We're technically Luffy in this moment. We had no idea what really was said between Kinemon and, the Straw Hats. That's a big thing. Also, I do like seeing the little flashback with Inu and Neko, and how, many of people of Wano, they were kind of judging them, but then Odin's like, don't judge them because they look different and all that, and then, they were able to be okay. It's technically like Odin was their savior, which would explain the relationship that Inu and, Neko have with Odin and the family he's a part of. So, that makes a lot of sense now. I like that little clarification. It's just a very sweet backstory from what we did get to see, and I feel like this chapter definitely preps up for the final part of, the Kaido saga, taking down Kaido and bringing him down for good. But yeah, that's pretty much my thoughts on the chapter. It's a very good chapter, a lot of details, a lot of stuff I actually still have yet to really talk about. There's one thing also we gotta remember, that the mother, the wife of Odin, since she was also a time traveler, there is a potential possibility that she was, giving instructions of how to make the poneglyphs. Because if she is from the distant past, and, we know Wano and the people of Wano are connected to the creation of the poneglyphs, there's a potential possibility that the mother as well could have been supplying this information about poneglyphs for a very long time. for all we know, which would make a lot of sense too, and story-wise from what we have heard. But that's about it. I want to end it there. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoy my content, please subscribe. If you like this video, please leave a like. And if you want to get notified for whenever I upload a video, please click the bell icon down below. And with that, Chibi out.